Can you all see this unfortunate tan that I have? Like, I spent a week at home and I went around town with my mom, I hung out with my nephew, all out in the open, and I was wearing t-shirts. So now, like, my shoulders are completely white and my hands are tanned, which is very ugly. I need to even this out because I am one of those people that I don't need to go to a tanning salon or just go outside and lay in the sun. I just need to go outside during summer and I have a tan. For all of you white people hating on me right now because you need to go to a tanning salon to get a tan, let me just say this shit is not fun. Like, it's not fun. So I already told you in my blog post that I went and had a food intolerance test done. So basically it's a test where you go and check which food bothers you, which food groups bother you and stuff like that. It's not cheap, it's actually pretty expensive. I had to stretch it out. I'm going to pay it out in installments. But in my 24 years on this earth, I cannot remember one single time I did not have issues with my digestion, issues with my immune system, issues with my skin, issues with my hair, and it always came from food. Like, I had a terrible relationship with food ever since I was a little kid. Like, I wrote in my blog post that my mother was scared for me when I was a baby because I would constantly cry after eating. I have food intolerances, but I do not have food allergies. The difference is that I am going to have a reaction that's postponed, while an allergy reaction is immediate. So people who are allergic to nuts, let's say, they immediately go through a reaction, they can go into anaphylactic shock and stuff like that. So my life is not threatened by my food allergies, but my quality of life is significantly lower because of my food allergies. Like, I went on a weekend getaway with my boyfriend. I obviously ate something that was bad for me. I'm going to assume it was the eggs. And the last day when we were going home, I was dying. I was in pain. My stomach hurt. I just felt weak. I felt nauseous. And 3 days after that, that feeling was still very much present. I was not leaving my apartment because I was feeling so nauseous, and honestly it's exhausting living like this, especially for 24 years, because when I say that I've been like this since I can remember, I am not lying. I have had these issues since I can remember, and I decided to take this step and see what type of food should I eat to actually have a chance of diminishing these nauseas. Like, I know that not everything is caused by food, but a lot of issues in my life were caused by what I ate because I was not aware of what bothered me. Like, I tried to go on elimination diets and it never worked because I was always like, yeah, it must be gluten or lactose or stuff like that, and it never worked because, first of all, I was not aware of how many stuff contained gluten, and also it's not the only thing I'm intolerant to. Like, I am intolerant to gluten, but not only and specifically to gluten. I got my results like a week ago and I decided to wait until I had my appointment with the doctor because I just did not want to go and pretend like I know what I'm doing and start cutting out food during that week. I lived like this for 24 years. I can live for 7 more days, and I had my appointment with the doctor yesterday. I spent a week, oh my god, I spent an hour with her, and I was actually amazed at how approachable she was and how understanding she was. I actually enjoyed talking to her because she explained everything in a very, how should I say, like, she watered everything down. Like, she did not use some big terminology that I, a person that never studied medicine or nutritionism, could understand. Like, she was very down to earth and she explained to me everything as if I were a child, and she already started giving me tips and tricks regarding recipes, like what can I eat, how to combine food, what to look out for. And I actually enjoyed that conversation because it was the first time that I openly talked to somebody about my food issues that wasn't my mother. Like, my mom knows what I can eat, what I cannot eat. She knows that I've always been struggling with this because she was the one taking me to doctors and trying to figure all of this out, and I know how hard it was for her when I was a kid because I was malnourished. The doctors accused her of not feeding me, which was not true. I just didn't want to eat anything. I was a picky eater, and the stuff that I ate caused nausea, so I just didn't want to eat, and she was struggling a lot with me. And when I sat down with this doctor and she asked me like, why are you here? Why did you decide to make this test? Why did you give the money for this? Like, how bad is it? And I told her like about my digestion issues. I told her about my health issues in general, that I have a very low immune system, that I get ill very easily, and that this was a very big problem for me when I was a kid. I told her about my skin issues. I told her that I also have issues with my thyroid and with my hormones and all of that, and she was very understanding. Even when I started talking about how all of this has affected my mental health, she was like, yes, you're not wrong, this does affect your mental health. Celiac disease and gluten intolerance can contribute to anxiety. And she said, of course, when you're thinking about food all the time, what you can eat, what you cannot eat, being nauseous and stuff like this is going to affect your mental health. And I was like, thank you for validating me, because people don't understand. Like, people who can eat regular food and do not have these issues and do not have to think about their nausea and drinking medication and stuff like that, they don't know how fucking exhausting attending any public event where there's food involved is. Like, I know whenever I would meet up with my family or go to eat to a restaurant, I knew that the next day there was a very high possibility of me getting nauseous. And just her telling me like, yes, being intolerant to gluten can contribute to anxiety, it can contribute to a lot of symptoms of anxiety. I was like, yes, thank you for telling me that. I'm going to be on the lookout now to see if my issues like diminish and if this new diet changes something for me. I'm not even going to pretend like I am thrilled about this or that I am happy. I am happy that I discovered what bothers me, but I know I have a very long road ahead of me. And that is going to be very difficult actually to cut out these foods and to adapt to a new lifestyle. But I already gave a bunch of money for this test, and I'm going to go through with it, especially because the doctor told me that an intolerance can go away. Intolerance is not for life. So maybe if I just clean out my diet and if I stick to what she told me, in a few years I can actually eat like pasta and stuff that I really enjoy eating now that I need to cut out of my diet. Let's get into the paperwork. So I am not intolerant to any type of vegetable, which is great because I love eating vegetables. Most of my diet consists of eating vegetables, so that's a relief. But when it comes to grains, I am intolerant to gluten, and I'm directly intolerant to wheat, barley, I don't know how to pronounce this in English, and corn. But since I'm intolerant to gluten, I have to cut out a lot of other grains because they have a high amount of gluten in them, so that's not fun. Because, for example, like she told me that I cannot eat like just any bread. I can eat bread from rice flour, which I did not know was a thing. Did you know? I did not know that rice flour and rice flour bread was a thing. And from the get-go, she told me like, get a bread maker, like that device that makes breads on its own. She said, invest in that, save up time. It's very time consuming to make your own bread at home and all of that. Just get one of those thingies to make bread if you enjoy eating bread on a daily basis. So I think I'm going to invest my money in that. It's going to be beneficial to me. One of the things that I'm very affected by is the fact that I'm intolerant to barley and I cannot drink beer anymore, because I love beer and I know that like a gluten-free beer exists, but like barley-free beer, I think that it doesn't. So that's kind of like my inner Balkanian is crying. I don't want to perpetuate the stereotype that Balkanian people drink a lot, but we do drink a lot, and I am going to have to cut out a whole bunch of alcohol, which again, beneficial to my health, but come on, I think that I can drink like white and red wine, so that's something. So yes, that's from like the grain. I'm not intolerant to any type of meat or any type of fish or like shellfish and stuff like that. All of that, I can eat that. One of the things that I am intolerant to is actually casein, which is a milk protein, so I have to cut out dairy. Like, I am not intolerant to lactose. She told me that there's a difference between that, because when you tell to people like you need to cut out dairy, they mostly start drinking low lactose milk and stuff like that. It's not about lactose, it's about casein. So I have to cut out all dairy products. I mean, I don't have a problem with milk. I don't like milk anyways. I do not buy it, I do not drink it, I do not put it in my coffee. I don't like milk. Also dairy products, most of them I'm going to survive without, but cheese, like I cannot have cheese. I can have mozzarella di buffalo, but that's pretty much it. Like, that's the only cheese I can eat. If you're thinking to yourself, like, you can supplement the dairy options with vegan options, no, I cannot, because I am intolerant to soy. Fuck my life. So, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some expert on vegan food, but if I'm not mistaken, like, a bunch of those, like, vegan options when it comes to, like, equivalents to dairy stuff are made of soy. Like, I'm going to have to investigate that. I've been reading about food non-stop for the last 48 hours. It's annoying. So I'm going to have to cut out that. So yeah, I'm not intolerant to any type of nuts, but I kind of have like almonds and pistachios are very high up on the scale. So she said that I should be very moderate or even just stop eating them to avoid a food intolerance to them. Like, she said that food intolerances come and go, they change. So she also warned me about that. I also cannot drink any carbonated sugary drinks such as Coca-Cola or Sprite and stuff like that because of some thing that's in them. So I cannot drink that, so that's fun. When it comes to fruit like plums, I have an issue with plums. That's pretty much it from that food intolerance test. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I know it's going to be beneficial to my health, but it's also going to be very difficult to adapt to this new lifestyle, to all of these new foods that I can eat or cannot eat. Also, I believe I've said this before, it's expensive. Like, I've googled some healthy food stores and to see what the prices are, and it is significantly more expensive than the regular food. Like, pasta especially is more expensive. Like, the pasta that I can eat is more expensive. I mean, I know I'm going to get used to it, and when I see that my health is improving, I know I am going to feel better and it will motivate me, but right now it's just very hard to begin. Like, I have no desire to cook today. I just don't want to eat anything. I'm pissed off. I want to eat pasta. One other thing that I forgot to mention I'm severely intolerant to are egg whites. I was not expecting that, like, I forgot to mention that, but yeah, egg whites, I'm very intolerant to them, so I cannot eat eggs. This is very painful for me because I love chocolate, I love cookies, I love cake, I love sweets, like anything that has sugar in it, I love it, and I cannot eat it now because I cannot eat eggs. I don't know how am I going to find treats and candy that do not have dairy, gluten, or eggs. Like, I'm going to have to make them at home. I'm not excited at all. Ever since I started doing like this test and my results came in, a lot of people were like, but you're not allergic, like you cannot go into anaphylactic shock, you cannot die because of this, your life is not endangered, just keep on eating what you want to eat or eat it in moderation. That's all fine and dandy, but I think that people who never suffered with food intolerances, food allergies, or just digestion issues in general don't understand how fucking exhausting it is. You cannot even fathom how difficult it is to always, like, after a family gathering or after going to a restaurant, the first thing you think is like, how is this going to mess up my stomach? Am I going to be in pain the next day? And of course, it just lowers our quality of life. Like, it's not mentally easy living with this, and even though this is not an allergy, it's a food intolerance, it still leaves its marks on my body. I read that a lot of doctors are against food intolerance tests and that people should just do like an elimination diet to see what they can or cannot eat if they have food issues. But first of all, I never even thought about cutting out egg whites. Never in my life have I thought about not eating eggs. Like, I eat a bunch of eggs because I don't eat a lot of diverse meat, so I eat chicken and turkey, so I would often like supplement, like a protein intake would be eggs. I never thought about cutting this out, so I don't think that eliminating something from your diet can completely give you an insight into what are you intolerant to, or what should you cut out of your diet, especially because even when I was talking to that doctor, she was like, gluten is not just in food, like gluten is in makeup, gluten is in skincare. I need to revise everything that I put on my skin to check if there's gluten in. And she said, like, you can be intolerant to almonds. If you use a shower gel that has almonds in it, your skin is going to react to that in a way. I was mind blown. That's why you actually need a specialist, that's why you need a nutritionist. So yes, I definitely plan on cutting all of this out and finding a way to balance out my diet. I promised myself that I'm not going to make this about weight loss or about my appearance at all. I just don't want to rush into this with like going to a completely healthy lifestyle to just end up binging, because that's also a problem that I have. I'm a binge eater a bit, you know, so that's fun. I'm just going to like really put an emphasis on balancing out my diet, realizing what works and does not work for me. For example, like she told me that instead of dairy I can have I don't know, coconut milk and stuff like that. I tried coconut milk once, I was not impressed. I have to buy it again to try it again to see if I'm going to be impressed. And you know, just find something that works for me, and find the time to cook. That's like the biggest issue for me, because whenever I have a lot of work to do, or I just don't have the time to cook and wash the dishes and everything, I just order food. I cannot do this anymore. But like, it's not very easy to order gluten-free food in Croatia, to be quite honest. Like, the restaurants do not have a lot of options for this, so I'm going to have to work on a cooking schedule as well, maybe some meal prep. Fun. If you have experience with this, if you have experience with food allergies, food intolerances, if you know what it's like to go through this, please leave your comment below if you have any advice, tips and tricks for a beginner. If you have some great recipes or like links to blogs that deal with these types of issues, like leave them down in the comment or DM me on Instagram. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. Please subscribe, like, share, comment. You can even hit that bell to be notified anytime I post. I am definitely going to post a bit more about all of this when I start cooking and coming up with recipes or something, because I think that filming this process might make it easier for me, you know, it's content. And yes, I'm going to go and make myself lunch because I have to eat something today. And let's see how and what I come up with. And that's it for me. Yeah, have a lovely weekend.